everybody, this is John Harrison with your Threatguard Intel update. We have a few vulnerabilities and a few tips here that you can do to protect yourselves. It looks like Windows 10, for those who have upgraded to Windows 10, there's quite a bit, including myself. You want to go ahead and Sans, let me backtrack. Sans put out a good tip for those that have upgraded to Windows 10 that necessarily maybe didn't enable the system restore settings, whereas the upgrade may have caused that setting to disable itself. So what you want to do is go into your Windows icon on the bottom left corner. If you are on Windows 10, you click on that and you will go ahead and search for settings and then click on settings. When you click on settings, you'll go ahead and type in system protection, and when you click on system protection, you'll see an icon there. You should see something that says create a restore point. You want to go ahead and click on that, and then when that pop-up window should appear, and on the bottom will be a button to configure. Push configure and verify it is enabled. If not, go ahead and enable it and make sure that you have about 10 gigs allocated to that restore. And what that's going to allow you to do is if you ever do an update or patch and it corrupts your system, your operating system, you'll always be able to go back to that operating system if that patch or anything causes any conflict. So you'll be able to restore from a previous version of the operating system so that you won't have to deal with any of the corruption issues in the event that an update causes something on your system to break. So Cisco just released a patch for one of its network wireless firewalls. This is for a small business community. A lot of you are probably using this one. It's the RV220W, the wireless network security router. It's version 1.0.7.1. If you do have that version firmware installed on that firewall, you want to go ahead and update immediately to version 1.0.7.2. This will fix it's a patch that's focused on not a vulnerability that was found a little while ago about unauthenticated access, remote authenticated access stuff, from an attacker if they want to at the kernel level. So go ahead and patch. If you're a small business and you don't know how to patch, go ahead and call your IT or ask somebody that you have that's technical to go ahead and update that firmware on that firewall. Recently, there was an attack on Neiman Marcus. There was a automated attack that was essentially trying to guess all the username and passwords for their online customers. 99% of them were repelled with that attack. They didn't get username and passwords for 99% of their customers, but 1% they did. About 5,200 username and passwords that were compromised. And the point being for this, I think, is for small businesses, you need to have unique and strong passwords. Make sure that, and even a step further, if we can create policies around policy enforcement, like after 90 days you have to reset your passwords or choose a new password every 90 days, making sure that you have 8 to 16 mixed characters, special characters with numbers as well as letters and capitalizations. These complex passwords with renewing your passwords every 90 days is going to what prevents some of these issues and vulnerabilities to take place. So attackers will use various methods to guess your passwords and usernames. They'll use dictionaries, and so when you have larger amount of characters within a password, it just makes a lot harder for them to crack. And then when you use special characters, obviously special characters are not in a dictionary. It's not the English language, so it's very hard for an attacker to emulate or to crack that type of password. So strong passwords, making sure you enforce those passwords. Try to update your passwords every 90 days. I know we have a lot of different things we have to log into, so like password managers are a good resource or a good helpful tool that people are using, but make sure that you're using a one of those passcodes that is encrypting all your passwords and a password manager, making sure it encrypts all your passwords, and that it's do some research, making sure it's been around for a little while and safe and secure. WordPress, I know most of us probably use WordPress. A lot of people use WordPress, especially in the small business community, for your website. Even large organizations are starting to use those. So WordPress just released an update, released version 4.4.2, fixes 17 and 2 security issues. One of the security issues being addressing a campaign that started it's been around for a little bit, but it recently was disclosed some information around there is a specific attackers targeting WordPress sites using a JavaScript files that were allowing attackers to backdoor the actual infected site. And what that really means is that the attacker could use your website for distributing malware to other websites or other victims, or it could collect information on your website if you have any types of shopping carts or anything like that where you actually are taking on financial transactions or some type of e-commerce on that website. They would be able to attempt to extract that personal information to steal credit card information, personal identity, things of that sort. So if you haven't, go ahead and update to WordPress, the released version here, to make sure you fix those bugs get fixed, as well as those 2 security issues. WordPress, obviously it's a great tool. The other thing I wanted to talk about is if you have Google Analytics, most people do have Google Analytics, integrated into your WordPress site. Google also will crawl the websites, and if those JavaScripts or files are found within your WordPress site, Google will actually flag you. And so if you go into your console, Google console, if you have Google Analytics integrated, you'll be able to go into the security alerts and see if any malicious activity, or if your site has been associated with any malicious activity and has been flagged. Essentially, nobody will be able to find it on Google. So that's a good monitoring tool that's free. And if obviously it's not proactive, it's a reactive tool. But the Google console is a great tool, free tool, that you can go in there and look at security updates. So if you have been targeted or associated with malicious activity, Google will know, for the most part, not every incident, but if there's files that are no malicious on your website, it will flag your website. So you go ahead and take action, contact a cybersecurity firm like ours or your IT department to get those malicious files off the website, and so that you can restore your good standing with Google as well. So that's the 4 updates that we wanted to go over today. If anybody, again, we're trying to provide a lot of free content and focused on small and medium-sized businesses. We primarily, a lot of the big issues around small and medium-sized business is a resource constraint. There's a lot of talks about technology and things of that sort, and there's great technology that's coming out to empower businesses to better protect themselves. But at the end of the day, you have to have somebody there to configure them properly, to monitor them, because it always requires a human being to make these systems and technology more impactful, but also configured in a way with a strategy in mind that will ultimately provide the level of security that your organization is looking for. There is known to be over secure when you're not allowing your users to go into any websites and things of that sort. And so there is a balance between security and performance. We are in the businesses, especially small, medium-sized businesses, are in the business of making money. So we always got to balance security with the business case, with the business. So that is what tools are great for. When we have them properly configured, that provides an optimum level of security and to keep the business going in a secure manner, but we know that we're going to have to accept risk in certain areas to allow the business to flourish. So, that's why, one tool, there's no easy button to this. And so it's why we continue to preach that, the biggest challenge around cybersecurity today is a resource and resource issue. There's not enough skills, folks around to serve the entire community and every business out there. And this is the reason why you're here at Cybexa. We stood up Cybexa to help small and medium-sized business be that resource to ultimately help you secure your business, take those proactive steps to become secure. And it doesn't have to be expensive. There are very low-cost solutions that every business should be doing to be secure. Even startups, especially startups. If you're a startup business and you don't think you need to worry about cybersecurity, you're wrong. You have intellectual property that needs to be secure. You're probably going to market with something that's innovative that nobody has thought of maybe before yet, and there will be definitely plenty of people out there who maybe want to steal it. And so you need to protect that intellectual property, especially when you're still just going through the patent and trademark process and think those legal processes that you have to go through. If something gets stolen and somebody beats you to it, then it gets caught up. It's hard to prove. So you definitely want to keep security in mind when you're a startup business, and even if you're below 10 employees. There are things you need to do, like we talked about this other day, doing security threat assessments. Something you can do. It just takes the time to model out what are the likely threats. So many resources online that are free that you can get to really understand what, if you're in your particular industry, what threats you're actually exposed to. And then determine what your policies are, and it could just be very high level, and essentially start to secure the network, making sure that you have a proper firewall in place. If you have any information systems that are public facing, making sure that you have a DMZ configured. One of the biggest things that we're seeing is everybody going to Amazon Web Services. Awesome, cheap, very cost effective, easy to get information systems deployed, ease of use. But don't forget about security. A lot of people, when we talk to customers before, that have put up information systems and think Amazon just naturally will secure those systems. That is not the case. On the infrastructure, on the back end, they are securing it. That network is secure. Amazon does a very good job of that, but Amazon puts the onus on you to secure your web application, especially the ones that are public affairs. So you need to have your web application firewalls and your rules and policies. Make sure you're monitoring those information systems that are in the cloud, just as you would if they were on-premise in your building. So that's kind of the one thing I would share for you to you today, is that just because you're going to the cloud with a provider that's providing a service, it's still up to you and your responsibility to secure it. And there are definitely a lot of solutions out there, and very low-cost solutions, cheaper than the solutions of putting stuff on premise still. So you can still secure. What's cool about it is you still can actually secure your web services that you're putting out there, using Amazon or Microsoft Azure, in a very cost-effective manner. So that's what I'll share for you today. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. John.Harrison@Cybexa, CYBEXA.com. We're going to do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. What we do is we just look at a lot of vulnerabilities that are going on out there and a lot of advisories, and we're filtering that down to what small businesses like yourself need to know. So until Friday, we'll see you then. So come with your questions.